Since time immemorial, music has been of great importance to people's lives, it being a powerful means of expression and self-identification of an individual as a member of a social group, whilst it is very often used for the strengthening of ties between the group members themselves. Out of all the human activities that create the sense of identity and community, music is the most personal and has the deepest intellectual importance. Another important factor in the creation and maintenance of identity is language. Today I'm going to present some songs about World War II and the Holocaust. All songs have verses written by Greek Jews who witnessed the war, dealing with aspects of that war. They are going to be presented in chronological order according to their content, during the German occupation and during and after the Holocaust. I'm going to focus on 7 of the songs because they provide much information about life during World War II and the living conditions inside the ghettos, the transportation trains and the camps, and because they are examples of the variety of musical borrowings. The Jewish population in Greece consists mainly of Romaniote and Sephardic Jews. The Jews who settled in the Greek lands in the Hellenistic and Byzantine eras, and their vernacular has since been Greek, are called Romaniote Jews, and the Jews with origins from Spain and Portugal are called Sephardim. The latter's vernacular was Judeo-Spanish. The Sephardim settled in the Greek lands after their expulsion from Spain in 1492. They managed to maintain their language in most of the places they settled in, especially Thessaloniki, the city where the majority of Greek Jews, mainly Sephardim, lived before the Holocaust. Unsurprisingly, many songs have obviously been written by Jews from Thessaloniki. Contrafactum. The old practice of singing the melodies of popular songs using different lyrics was applied to all of the songs. The borrowed melodies originate from either Western art music or Greek and Western popular songs of the time, the latter widespread thanks to radio broadcasts and to the art of filmmaking, or from Greek folk and urban folk music. Actually, the act of borrowing melodies of Western popular music to adapt to lyrics in Greek was very usual in Greek reviews. In fact, this was what the Greek review audience expected to listen to. The review fashion entered Greece in the late 19th century, and during World War II, reviews were still very popular. As a result, Greeks were accustomed to the practice of contrafactum. Greece entered World War II on October 28, 1941, when Mussolini issued an ultimatum demanding the cession of Greek territory to dictator Ioannis Metaxas, then governor of Greece. Metaxas rejected the ultimatum, and this decision led to the beginning of the Greco-Italian War. Unexpectedly, the Hellenic army defeated the Italian troops. Hitler received the defeat as a threat to Germany, and as a result, he sent his army in spring 1941 to aid their ally Italy. After many failed attempts, the Nazis invaded northern Greece on April 6, 1941, and occupied Thessaloniki on April 9. On July 11, 1942, the so-called Black Sabbath, the German Nazis gathered all male Jews from Thessaloniki aged 18 to 45 at Liberty Square to census them in order to send them to hard labor in Leptokaria, a seaside village in northern Greece near Mount Olympus. On that day, they also humiliated them in many ways. The text of the song Enestas Noches Geladas describes the harsh living conditions in Leptokaria. Its melody is unknown. After the Black Sabbath, the measures against Jews of Thessaloniki became gradually stricter, until they culminated on February 25, 1943, the deadline given by Nazis for Jews to settle in specific quarters, which were then turned into ghettos. The Baron Hirsch ghetto was a district built by Baron Maurice the Hirsch after the 1890 fire in Thessaloniki. It was located at the western part of the city, near the railway station. During the German occupation, part of it was fenced in wooden planks and barbed wire to be used as a transportation camp to Auschwitz. 2 poems deal with the living conditions inside the Baron Hirsch ghetto. Το προσκλητήριο, the bugle call in Greek, and un día de Sabá amaneció, there came a Saturday, with its lyrics in Judeo-Spanish. Being the majority of Thessaloniki's population for centuries, the Sephardic Jews managed to maintain Judeo-Spanish as their vernacular. Only after Thessaloniki's annexation to Greece in 1912 did they start to systematically learn and use the Greek language. Moreover, the advent of dozens of thousands of Greek refugees in the city in 1922, after the Greco-Turkish War that followed World War I, subverted the demographics, and Greek-speaking Orthodox Christians became the majority. By 1940, the young generation was fluent in Greek, the official language of the Greek state, as they studied it at school. Το προσκλητήριο was written to be sung to the tune of the 1938 German love song Lili Marlene, and Un día de Sabá amaneció was adapted to the melody of the theme song Bel Ami of the homonymous 1939 film. Both songs were very popular to the German people of that time and were frequently broadcasted on the air by various radio stations. Lili Marlene is a German soldier's farewell to his loved one. The film Bel Ami was made on the eve of the outbreak of World War II, and its plot suited the Nazi propaganda, as it dealt with the corruption in French society and politics. According to the existing evidence, during the German occupation, the film was presented in Thessaloniki in November 1941. I believe that those melodies were chosen because in case the Nazis heard their prisoners sing the songs, the chances were that they would be pleased and react in a positive way. Ironically, and maybe also intentionally, these melodies further underline the connection of the text with the German Nazis. There have also been other versions of both songs in Greek during the German occupation. Some of them would narrate the harsh living conditions in Greece and would aim to mock the Nazis. Those versions were probably incorporated in venues and aimed to lift the suppressed people's spirits. Let's listen to το προσκλητήριο. The verses of το προσκλητήριο are attributed to a well-educated young Jewish girl from Thessaloniki, Lilian Menasseh. She died at the age of 17 inside the Auschwitz extermination camp. Probably written inside the Baron Hirsch ghetto, το προσκλητήριο describes life there. The first names and surnames of many Jews from Thessaloniki are mentioned in the lyrics. February 6, 1943 was Shabbat, and the day the Nazis demanded that the Jews wore yellow star badges and settled into ghettos. The lyrics of the song Un día de Sabá amaneció narrate the Jews' confinement in Baron Hirsch and the sealing of their yellow star badges by the Nazis before its transportation. Fear is described by the use of a metaphor. Our hearts began to beat tic-tac. The lyricist has the intuition that something bad is going to happen. The feeling of massification is expressed by the words we all became equal. Then the expectation of a change and of justice comes. They will pay for what they do to us. Let's listen to the song.
Empezaron a cargar y las concardas a esfraguisear. El corazón ya nos empezó a guardar. Tic-tac, tic-tac, tic-tac.
The first train to Auschwitz-Birkenau departed from Thessaloniki on March 15, 1943. By the end of summer, most of the Jews of Thessaloniki were transported to Auschwitz-Birkenau and some to Bergen-Belsen. The poem Stavagonia is also attributed to Lilian Menasse, aimed to be sung once again to the melody of Bellamy. Let's listen to it. The poem provides the following information. There were 50 people inside each train carriage, which, by the way, was intended for 8 horses. Small children made much noise, probably because they were crying. There was a troop who was responsible for bringing fresh water wherever they reached the train station. They used a bucket behind the curtain as a toilet. The poem Siete Días Encerrados, set to the music of the Turkish popular song Gelmeden, also narrates the living conditions inside the train carriages. Siete Días Encerrados was written inside Auschwitz by David Haim. The poem also expresses his wish to escape in order to recite the Kaddish for his family. Far away from their homeland, the Greek Jews preferred to use the Greek language to musically express themselves and to narrate the living conditions inside Auschwitz. An explanation for the prevalence of Greek could be that it is unlikely that the Nazis spoke it, and consequently they could not understand it. Another explanation could be that inside the camp there were both Sephardic and Romaniot Jews from Greece, and the latter spoke only Greek. The Greek language united the two groups and identified them as Jews from Greece. This is further stressed by the chosen melodies, typical of Greece, to which they adapted the verses they conceived. Evreopoula borrows its melody from Chobanakos, a folk song from the inland of central Greece. Its rhythm is 8/8, and its melody is written in the Nigris mode. Back in 1938, the people of the newly founded Athens radio station were looking for sound bites that would be particularly moving to Greek emigrants to other countries, and they chose Chobanakos. During the German occupation in Athens, the station's sound bites changed. Even so, everyone in Greece was acquainted with this melody, which they recognized as part of their Greek identity and reminded them of the years before the war. Let's listen to the sound bites. The poem is obviously written by a woman, as it begins with the phrase, "I was a Jewish girl." It narrates that in Poland, women had their hair cut and were given men's clothes. They were taken to the baths to be examined for lice, and they were afraid that they would be taken to the gas chambers. Their fear is expressed by the words, "Our hearts went ticky-tack." They worked outdoors despite the bad weather conditions, and they were beaten with a baton if they were slow at work. The interchange from the present to the past tense may suggest that the song was written after World War II, or that the present tense changed to the past tense after the war. Originally, Mavri Zoe, a folk song in 7/8, deals with the extreme living conditions of the Greek warriors during the Greco-Turkish War that followed the Greek Revolution in 1821. Those warriors were widely known throughout Greece as kleftes, and thus this category of songs is called kleftiko. Mavri Zoe was and still is a song that is sung at schools in Greece when we celebrate the day of commemoration of the Greek Revolution on March 25. It is probable that all Jews who went to schools in Greece knew the song. The lyrics of this version were written by a woman because the female gender is used. The verses of the first two-verse strophe belong to the most known version of the Kleftiko song and talk about fear. We live a hard life, we eat and work in fear. In the third strophe, the lyricist says she didn't do anything wrong, she was imprisoned because of her religious beliefs. Let's listen to the song.
Δεν έκλεψα μωρέ, δεν έκλεψα ούτε σκότωσα. Δεν έκλεψα μωρέ, δεν έκλεψα ούτε σκότωσα. Εβραίο πουλα ήμουνα, γι' αυτό με φυλακίσαν. Εβραίο πουλα ήμουνα, στο Auschwitz με κλείσαν.
A Teenagery is a Greek song from the homonymous Greek popular theatrical high comedy of that time. Its songwriter was Kostas Yannidis, the pseudonym that Greek composer Yannis Konstantinidis used when he composed popular urban songs. The end of the song is hopeful. Girls, be patient, we'll get out of Auschwitz. Let's listen to the song.
Φυλακή εγώ δεν ήξερα και τώρα την γνωρίζω. Μες στο κελί γυρίζω, τους ήχους αντικρίζω. Όλα στο νου μου τώρα έρχονται, τα νιάτα κι οι αγάπες. Όλα γίνηκαν στάχτες, το τρένο της ζωής. Έτσι είναι η ζωή, κορίτσια πάντα, έτσι είναι η ζωή. Να είμαστε κλεισμένες μες στο Auschwitz. Νιάτα που περνούν, χαρές που φεύγουν, πίσω δεν γυρνούν. Κορίτσια, κάντε υπομονή, θα βγούμε από το Auschwitz.
Thessaloniki μου γλυκιά is a poem adapted to the melody of either the song Thessaloniki στα στενά, On the Roads of Thessaloniki by Vasilis Tsitsanis, or Θυμήθηκα το 12, I Remembered 1912 by Markos Vamvakaris. Both songs are Greek urban folk songs which belong to the rebetiko genre of Greek music. We are going to listen to the Vamvakaris version.
Θεσσαλονίκη μου γλυκιά πατρίδα δοξασμένη, αχ πότε θα έρθει ο καιρός να ζούμε ενωμένοι. Αχ πότε θα έρθει ο καιρός να ζούμε ενωμένοι. Θεσσαλονίκη μου γλυκιά πατρίδα δοξασμένη.
The text of Thessaloniki μου γλυκιά narrates life inside the camps and expresses nostalgia for homeland. The fact that the versifier uses the past tense to describe what happened inside the camps and that the poem lacks messages of hope for freedom lead to the conclusion that the poem was probably written after World War II. Written after the Holocaust, a dirge in Judo-Spanish, Almas tiernas y puras, has borrowed its music from the recitativo and the aria Ombra mai fu of the opera Xerxes composed by Handel. Its lyrics deal with the Holocaust victims. In the first verse of this version, the souls of the victims and not the leaves of the tree of the original text are tender. The versifier of Almas tiernas is unknown until today. Two Holocaust survivors wrote one poem each, and they set them to their own music. Moshe Elion, who used to be a violinist in the Auschwitz orchestra, wrote La Linda Jovenica in memory of his sister. Yaakov Levin, a Jew from Thessaloniki who migrated to Israel after World War II, wrote the music and lyrics of the song Χρόνια είμαι μακριά σου to express nostalgia for his homeland and for the past. One of the side effects of World War II was that millions of people were forced to migrate to other places or even continents to start a new life. The lyricists of most of the songs that were presented today were Sephardi Jews from Thessaloniki. The poems written before the transportation of the Jews of Greece to extermination camps are from Thessaloniki and were written not only Judo-Spanish but also in Greek. However, Most of the poems inspired inside Auschwitz were in Greek and borrowed their melodies from characteristic Greek folk songs or from songs that were written by renowned Greek songwriters. Nostalgia for homeland is expressed in Greek, linking the versifiers with Greece via the country's official language. However, most dirges related to the Holocaust were written in Judo-Spanish, obviously by Sephardic Jews, and their melodies are either borrowed from Western art music or new melodies were written. The Judo-Spanish language probably serves as a connection between the lyricists and their ancestors, or it may be an expression of self-identification of the Sephardim of Greece, who in many cases married Romaniote Jews or Orthodox Christian Greeks and had no apparent reason to use their vernacular. Moreover, Greek Sephardim migrated to other countries, such as the USA and Israel, so in that case, their language was part of their identity that differentiated them from other Jewish people. Another reason may be the growing sense of the loss of a civilization and an urge to maintain it. Thank you for your attention.